Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be going over an interview with Kimura as well as Hamazaki, and they do talk about a lot of really interesting content that is coming out soon, including the new Mars action system. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to get out of the way is I will link the 4Gamer interview in the description below in case you want to read it for yourself. Now it is in Japanese, so we did use a translator over here to translate everything into English, so these are just rough translations. Now, since this interview is incredibly long, as you can see my little cursor over here, it's like 30 pages long or something, I'm just going to be going over the interesting parts as I have read through the entire article already. So the very first thing I want to go over is of course the new content. So the new Nameless City has already been released in game. We can play Nameless City, it's all good. However, the new card game Line Strike will be coming out in July, and the new action system Mars will be coming out in the end of July. Now, before we jump into the new action system Mars, since I know this is what most of you guys care about, I want to bring to everyone's attention this reply regarding rare drop rate asked in the Dengeki article over here. So this is another news outlet which also did an interview with Hamazaki as well as Kimura, and they asked a very interesting question over here. Is there a difference in the response to the drop rate between the domestic version and the global version? And Kimura's response was, on the global side, people are a little bit more extreme compared to the Japanese users regarding whether some people like having it being super rare versus other people who think that the drop rate should be much higher. Hamazaki's response, on the other hand, is there is a more positive trend for participating in quests as well as farming in Japan. So basically he's saying that the Japanese players are more willing to grind for longer hours and harder for rare items, and Kimura's response more or less was, oh, Japan's okay with it, versus the West, which are a little bit more extreme. Now the follow-up question over here was very interesting. Are you adjusting the difference in drop probability between the domestic version and the global version? And Kimura's response over here is, considering the difference in playstyle, it may be better to make a difference. However, it's not a good idea to make them feel unfair. So Kimura agrees that the global server should have better drop rates or higher drop rates to cater to its community, simply because the players in the West are a little bit more impatient, and we want to have the gratification of getting items fast, as we don't want to sink hundreds of hours farming for a singular weapon or singular item, versus the Japanese culture where they're a little bit more okay with it. It's not perfectly fine, but they're a little bit more acceptable to this type of grind. However, Kimura doesn't want to actually do this because he feels like it would make it unfair, because Japanese players would technically be punished to play on the JP server, since the drop rate's going to be lower there versus the global server, which is going to have higher drop rates if they apply these changes. So the end result is Kimura's not going to do anything, and the JP server as well as the global server are going to have the exact same rare drop rate. Now, for my friends who are more interested in the Dengeki article, I will also leave this in the description below so that you can read it for yourself. But let us focus on the new action system Mars over here in the 4Gamer article, because we got some really juicy information. So the very first thing I want to announce over here is the new Mars action system is scheduled to be implemented on July 31st. So the end of next month, we will get this new system, and it is actually super awesome because they actually explain how it works down here. So as we can see over here, Mars will be an action activated in the sub palette, so it's very similar to a photon blast, but the unique thing about this new action system is the only thing that accumulates the gauge is time. So it takes about 9 minutes to fully charge the gauge, but you can activate it as long as you have more than 25% charge. And on top of that, you can actually toggle on and off whenever you want. So let's say, for example, there's a big boss, you activate your Mars system, you kill the boss, but you still have like 50% left of your bar. You can actually deactivate it at any given time. And the moment that you deactivate, it will start charging up the gauge again, starting from 50% or wherever you left off. So this Mars action system is a toggle. You can actually use it whenever you want, and you can turn it off whenever you want, which is super awesome. And on top of that, if you do have a 100% gauge, if you activate it, it actually lasts for 2 minutes, which is absolutely awesome because that's just 2 minutes of massive amounts of damage. And for my OG PSO2 players, it's gonna act very similar to a Dark Blast, except you can just turn it off whenever you want and turn it on whenever you want, which is really good. Because for those who did play the base game, you guys know that Dark Blasts were incredibly powerful. And you can see over here, Hamazaki even says right here that when you use the M.A.R.S system, it will cause more damage than the existing class. So it's gonna be very powerful. However, what's gotten me super excited over here is, unlike Dark Blast, M.A.R.S has 4 types of main weapons and 3 types of sub-armaments. And from there, you will fight by combining 2 main weapons and 1 sub-armament. In addition, the action of Dark Blast was decided for each form, but M.A.R.S is a specification that makes the combo route complicated depending on the combination of weapons. Therefore, if you try to create maximum synergy, you will need to put in a lot of work. Now, the reason why Hamazaki says this is because with the new action system, we actually have its own dedicated skill tree where you are going to need to level up certain skills in order to gain extra abilities when you use this action system. So this is super awesome because remember, there are 4 main weapons. You can only pick 2 at any given time, and there are 3 armaments, and you can only pick 1 at any given time. So there are multiple combinations of weapons and armaments that you can use in order to get that perfect combination that fits your playstyle. And on top of that, in order to fully maximize the damage potential, you are going to need to level up a bunch of skills. And to do that, you are going to need to do certain quests in order to get points to open up the skill points so that you can strengthen the weapons and customize them to gain extra abilities. However, do not worry about respecking, because respecking is going to be as easy as our current respecs for all of our classes right now. If you want to respec, you simply just take out points and you can allocate them into other things, easy peasy. Now, the best part of the M.A.R.S action system is there is no limitation or no restrictions on where you can actually use it. You can use it in the Nameless City, you can use it in exploration zones, PSE combat zone, as well as in quests. So let's say that you're doing Darkfall Solus rank 2 and you're really struggling. Well, when this system drops, you'll be able to use it and gain a ton of damage. Let's say that you break the boss and you need a ton of burst damage. If all 4 of you go into your M.A.R.S suit and nuke the living daylights out of Darkfall Solus, you're gonna deal a ton of damage. But now let's move on to the next topic, and that is of course the TCG game Line Strike over here. So the main concern that I had regarding this Line Strike card game was gonna be, am I forced to play this? Do I need to play this in order to get materials, in order to gear up my character and get, you know, capsules and stuff like that? And I'm very happy to say that the TLDR of this incredibly long interview is, first of all, the TCG is its own little thing. It's very similar to the casino in the base game. It's an isolated game mode. So if you want to play TCG, you can play it, you're gonna be fine. Now, the reason why you might want to play this is because you can get a bunch of rewards. However, all of the rewards are based about enhancing your TCG experience even further. So there's going to be a total of 100 cards. So if you want to collect them all, you can simply just keep playing the game and you will earn currency in order to get all of these cards. Now, additional cards are going to be earned through a scratch system. So you simply play the game, you're going to earn all of these vouchers. These vouchers become packets, and you open the packets and you get more cards. So you can earn all of the cards through a free-to-play method. That is possible. However, they're also introducing it in an AC scratch, of course, because they want to make money. So for those who are impatient and just want to power level and collect all the cards really quickly, you can spend AC and buy the cards and obtain them very easily that way. However, the nice thing is, if you are fully free to play, you're not at a super crazy disadvantage, as you will be able to earn the cards slowly but surely, but you'll eventually be able to earn all 100 cards. Now, what happens when you get duplicate cards? Well, the duplicate cards can be converted into dedicated recycle badges and exchanged for sleeves as well as playmats, so there is that. So basically everything regarding Line Strike is self-contained, which is a good thing. Now, as for all the different game modes you can play, there are 4 different game modes. The first one is rank mode, then there is unranked mode, then there's free battles, and then there's NPC battles. Now, unfortunately, Line Strike will not be available cross-ship. They did specify that in the interview, so if you do want to play with your friends, you have to make sure that you guys are all on the same ship. Now, let me know in the comment section below, are you guys excited for this new M.A.R.S action system? Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!